Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to TCS iON intelligem 2025. Before we move any further, may I please request Ms. Soumya, Head Contests powered by TCS iON, to set the ball rolling.
A very happy new year to everyone. I'm thrilled to welcome you all to the national grand finale of the 7th edition of TCS iON Intelligent. Today, we have come together to celebrate and cheer for the talented finalists of this prestigious contest. In just a few moments, we will witness an exciting finale where these brilliant minds will showcase their skills and compete for the coveted title. Congratulations to all the finalists for making it this far. Your journey itself is a testament to your hard work and determination. The topic, contest rounds, and evaluation criteria have been meticulously crafted by a panel of experts, ensuring a unique and enriching experience every year. Our vision is to empower every student by enabling them to hone their skills and realize their full potential. At TCS iON, we take immense pride in the fact that the contest continues to remain India's largest national level contest focused on the 21st century skills. We deeply appreciate the unwavering support of the school leaders and educators who have made this journey possible. To all the finalists, I wish you the very best. Remember, regardless of the outcome today, you have already proven yourselves as true intelligence. Each one of you shines brightly, and that's what we celebrate. And now, let the finale begin. Thank you, and over to you, Rashmi.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, time for us to welcome our host here today. This prolific speaker orator is the only professional woman quiz host across Asia. She was listed by the business world as a 40 under 40 and also received a global recognition from the Women Economic Forum. An alumnus of NITK Surathkal and IIM Calcutta, she is also the co-host of Tata Crucible and has been hosting TCS iON Intelligem since its inception. Ladies and gentlemen, time for us to welcome Miss Rashmi Furtado.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand finale of TCS iON Intelligem Universal Values, the senior category of this Intelligem. Intelligem is a beautiful initiative created by TCS iON 7 years ago. This is the 7th edition of this initiative, and this was created specifically for the students of our country from classes 5 to 9 to equip them better with future skills. And year on year, I have seen these students have amazing perspectives, and believe me, if you have been watching these Intelligems for the past 6 years, you know what I'm talking about. If not, you are in for a surprise today. Believe me, you're going to enjoy the entire finale that we have for you. So let's get started and get to know our finalists. Let me first introduce our first finalist here today. Joining us from National Hillview Public School, Rajarajeshwari Nagar, Bengaluru, from class 7 is Khushi Kumar. Following Khushi, again from class 7, representing the PSBB Senior Secondary School from Chennai is Ramya Ramesh. Following Ramya, from class 8, representing the Hyderabad Public School is Samskriti. Following Samskriti is Rishik from the Delhi Public School, Gurgaon. From class 9, representing the Indus International School, Bengaluru is Ashna. And of course, completing this lineup for us here today from class 9 again, from the National Hillview Public School, Bengaluru is Samanyu. All right, ladies and gentlemen, these are our finalists who have made it to this grand finale. They've been through multiple grueling rounds to reach this grand finale here today. And we have a stellar jury panel that has joined us as well. We have Ms. Priyanka Mishra, who heads the Talent Management, Learning and DEI at Blue Star, And we also have Ms. Radhika Sheth, who is the Assistant General Manager at the Reserve Bank of India, who has joined us. We'll of course get to know them a little better as we progress into this grand finale and move into the last round. But for now, let's get started and move into the first round of this finale. Coming up is me in 30 seconds. Here we go. As the round suggests, we have 30 seconds of time for each of our contestants to introduce themselves. But there is a catch. They have to introduce themselves in the context of universal values. As a leader, how will they uphold universal values? And what are the universal values that they would want to speak of? What are the universal values, or what kind of perspective do they have when it comes to universal values? Let's hear them out. 30 seconds of time for each of them. Let's get started with Khushi. Khushi, you have 30 seconds of time. Please get started.
The wisdom of Mahabharata is deeply resonated with Dharma Rakshati Rakshitaha, which means Dharma protects those who protect it. Namaste, I am Kushi Kumar from National Hillview Public School, Bengaluru, a creative mind driven by purpose and guided by Dharma. My hobbies include painting and poetry, both of which I feel have instilled peace amidst the chaos in my life. I think all universal values are like the long branches of a huge banyan tree, where dharma or righteousness are the roots of the tree. I strive to uphold values like truthfulness, unity, and integrity in every action of mine. I also believe in Na Satyat Paramo Dharmaha, which means there is no dharma or righteousness other than truth. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Khushi. Let's move on to our next finalist here today. Ramya, your 30 seconds of time starting now.
The highest form of knowledge is empathy, said Plato. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. I am Ramya Ramesh of grade 7. The value I strive to uphold is empathy. Empathy can solve many conflicts and challenges in our day-to-day life, be it a trivial fight with our siblings or a major fight with our friends, which might seem like the end of the world. Empathy can certainly help, as looking at both sides of the coin most of the time can help solve many conflicts peacefully. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ramya. She stuck to the time and well managed actually. Let's move on to our next contestant. Samskriti, it's your turn. You have 30 seconds of time. Please go ahead.
Roots. We all need them, just like plants. Values like roots keep us steady and help us grow. School leader, NCC cadet, volunteer, and a social entrepreneur. She has these roots embedded in her Samskriti, meaning her culture. Namaste. I am Samskriti. And empathy and integrity are the universal values I uphold. Empathy, the mother of all values, helps me understand and connect others, and integrity reminds me to always do the right thing and to stay true to self. Together, as real superpowers, they help me learn, grow, and lead. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Samskriti. Let's move on to our next finalist here today. That's Rishik. Rishik, you have 30 seconds of time. Please go ahead.
The mind is like a parachute, not much good unless it's open. Good evening, I'm Rishik Desarkar from DPS Gurgaon. In 21st century, communication is everything. And that's why I believe in the values of respect and cooperation as the keys to fostering collaboration. In any orchestra, each musician playing their unique instrument is essential. But true beauty arises not from individual brilliance, from the harmonious interplay of everyone. I firmly believe that we all, as leaders and individuals, should respect the values of respect and cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishik. What a beautiful perspective comparing our mind to a parachute. Let's move on to our next contestant here today. Ashna, you have 30 seconds of time. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashna Thakur, and the universal value that I strongly uphold is respect. Respect is about caring for others and treating others with equal amounts of dignity. I believe that it is really important to embrace different perspectives and respect others, because only when you respect others is when you will gain respect yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashna. respect seems to be the most important universal value that she will uphold. I think something that we adults should do as well in our everyday life and practice it in our everyday life. Let's move on to our final contestant who will complete this round for us, Samanyu. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I believe that universal values are the rule book of society. They teach us how a society works and how to better interpersonal relationships. They are the view to the human soul, and it helps us conduct ourselves in a healthy manner and better ourselves as well. And as a believer in efficiency, I think that the best way to solve a problem is to look at it from the most perspectives as possible. And what better way to do that than empathy? Empathy is when you can look at a problem from outside the box and think in the way that someone else does, so that you can solve a problem better.
All right, thank you, Samanyu. Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful perspectives here today by our young finalists. All of them are between classes 7, 8 and 9. Let's not forget that. Let's move on to our next round here today, ladies and gentlemen, heads and tails. Here we go. An interesting round here today. They will be given one topic and each of the contestants will speak 30 seconds for the topic and 30 seconds against the topic. And each contestant will do that for and against. So let's see what they have to tell on the topic. That's coming up on your screen. Here we go. One world with one leader. Let's see what they have to say about this particular motion, if I may say so. Let's start with our first contestant. Samanyu, will start with you. Remember, you have a minute of time totally, and I will stop you at the end of the minute, okay? It's up to you on how you want to manage your time. If you need a few more seconds for and lesser time for against, that's up to you. But at the end of the minute, I will stop you, okay? Good luck to you, Samanyu. Please get started.
Having a single leader would unify the world. Having the entire globe as one country would unify all the people, joining their hearts, letting them know that we are all part of the same thing. It would lessen conflict. It would lessen conflict that we have right now between countries, as we are all one person. We are all one deity. And when everybody follows the same law, when everybody follows the same rule book that the leader decides, then it'll be easier to find the middle ground in any sort of issue, and we would find it much easier to find a justifiable solution to said problems. Along with that, resources that our world is the resources are not divided quite equally in our world currently, but if everybody is unified, then that means that we are free to share the resources among each other without the difficulties of, say, a trade agreement or maybe a power struggle in between resources. However, the issue with this is that when you unite...
Samanyu, you have completed your minute's time. You have crossed your minute's time already, 1 minute and 10 seconds. I will have to stop you. I'm sorry about that. Let's move on to our next contestant, ladies and gentlemen. Ashna, you have 1 minute of time on this topic. Go ahead.
One world with one leader. Well, it sounds ideal, but is it practical? One world with one leader would ensure that the entire world is unified together. Resources would be streamlined, and there would be no difference between less economically developed countries and more economically developed countries. We would be able to face challenges like climate change all together, and all resources would be combined. There would be reduced inequalities and perhaps even mutual respect between one another due to there being a similar religion. However, one world with one leader could also lead to tyranny, as we have seen how Roman empires in the past have collapsed due to the presence of one leader. It could also lead to centralization and loss of culture, as we need to appreciate the diversity that each different country brings under different leaders. This is why I believe that one world with one leader would not be feasible in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashna. All right, let's move on to our next finalist here today. Rishik, it's your turn to speak for and against the topic. Your time starting now.
Imagine a world with a single leader. It would be the perfect world. No inequalities, universal education, sustainable living, and a harmonious coexistence with nature. A single leader could unite all nations, minimize conflicts, and speed up global decision making by being able to centralize all the world's resources. He or she would effectively address global issues like climate change and poverty. But could such a utopia really exist? Centralizing the world's powers in the hands of a single person could be devastating if they have malignant intents. I believe history has shown us enough examples of such systems collapsing, be it due to evil intent or too much for a single person to handle. Not only this, by having a single ruler would cause a huge loss of representation and diversity in the world. Trying to fit every single culture into one policy is just not going to work. But in the end, it really depends on the leader, his intents, and his skills. After all, Edmund Burke rightly said, the greater the power, the more dangerous its abuse.
Rishik,
Thank
I'll have
you.
to stop you. All right. We've exceeded time by a little bit. Okay, let's move on to our next finalist here today. Samskriti, it's your turn now. Please go ahead.
Just imagine the whole world under one great leader. A world without borders, walls, and wars. A wonderful Vasudhaivaka Kutumbam. A single leader can decide and act with the speed global challenges like climate change, poverty, and pandemics deserve. With no more wars and disputes, imagine the resources currently wasted on weapons being used for education and development. This leader could guide united humanity towards shared goals for a common future of peace, progress, and prosperity. But imagine that world leader doing a Hitler. One individual with the whole power centralized is a dangerous gamble with the fate of humanity. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Dissent could be suppressed, human rights violations could become rampant. Oops, absolute tyranny. Think about a world where everyone eats the same food, wears the same clothes, and thinks the same way. Diversity and wider representation are humanity's strength. Too precious to
Samskriti, I will have to
sacrifice.
stop you. You have exceeded the time. I will have to stop you. Let's move on to our next contestant, ladies and gentlemen. Ramya, it's your turn. Please go ahead.
One world with one leader can certainly help unify the world as one human race. But one world leader can also have just one world leader can also lead to corruption of that leader. So having more than one leader, maybe a few, can definitely help reduce the chances of abusing of power, and it can definitely help diversify the leader, and it can help the fact that not every culture and not every ethnicity may be suitable for a single set of laws. So if there are many leaders instead of just one, it would be a better world, and it might be plausible instead of just one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramya. And finally, we have Khushi completing this round for us. Khushi, go ahead.
It was once quoted that peace begins when unity takes the lead. A statement so true. In fact, this has also been proven in our ancient wisdom. Ekaiva rajyam mahitam rasasya dharmasya raksha bhavati smritacha. This means that one unified kingdom and one righteous ruler can lead to the flourishment and development of the kingdom. For example, Yudhishthira, after the war of Kurukshetra, established his empire, which was powerful, prosperous, and peaceful. So a righteous ruler like Yudhishthira, in the present situation, could end all sorts of conflicts that's happening presently. However, if absolute power is concentrated under a hand which could misuse the power, it would be very difficult. For example, Adolf Hitler, who was responsible for instigating the World War II and who was also responsible for the genocide of thousands of people. So to conclude, I would like to tell that one world with one leader is a brilliant idea only if the ruler is not corrupt and follows the principles of Dharma. Thank you.
Okay, Khushi, you have also exceeded the time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those were the perspectives of our students, of our finalists on One World with One Leader. Time for us to move into our next round here today. An interesting round. Let's see what it is when they have to voice their views. Here we go. The reason I said this is an interesting round is because here is where they will debate. And the debate will go on without me moderating them. So let's see how well they do in this debate. Students, you have 8 minutes of time. I will let you know at the end of the 6th minute that you have 2 more minutes left. We would like for you to arrive at a conclusion at the end of the debate, okay? And like I said, I will not be moderating the debate at all. The topic for the debate coming up on your screen, here we go. Ethics are nothing but personal preferences. Let's see what they have to say when it comes to this topic. A tough one if you ask me. I'm sure many of us adults have a lot of conflicting views when it comes to this topic. Let's see what our finalists have to say. Students, remember, I will stop you at the end of the 8th minute. Keep that in your mind. And for now, good luck to all of you for the debate. And the platform is all yours. Go ahead.
Good evening again. I must ask you that we should set the context, right? I'm sure all of you agree that we should break down the statement and understand what it truly means. Yeah. So ethics. What are ethics? Are they a universal set of principles of right and wrong or something more individual? 2. Personal preferences. How do we define personal preferences? Are they purely subjective or are they influenced by external factors and broader societal norms? Nothing but. This phrase suggests a strong claim that ethics are solely and entirely personal preferences. I sincerely request that we should base our discussion for a meaningful conclusion within these terms and this interpretation.
Okay, so
Thank you
we
for
can
simplifying
basically
that.
say that ethics, they are the moral code that each individual person has, right? So each individual person has had a different history. They have different beliefs, they have different backgrounds, they have different values. So what is right and what is wrong, each person has a different way of saying how to draw the line between these two. So ethics are nothing but personal preferences. It basically implies that we're trying to figure out, like, should ethics be subjective, that is personal preferences, or should ethics be objective? That is, there is a set of ethics which everybody should follow, which is 100% right and not wrong. I believe in subjectivism, which basically means that each individual has the freedom to judge and to determine their own moral code.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I like what you said. I agree with that. Like in certain cases, like if you would talk about the laws of abortion or euthanasia, everyone has different perspectives on them, right? Like in US, certain states believe that abortion is the right thing to do, but then others might say that you're stripping off the individual right of women to choose. And for example, in euthanasia, others believe that you're being compassionate about it, while some may say that it's straight up cruel. But personally, I believe that ethics cannot just be personal preferences because they are the pillars of our society. There are certain things like respect, justice, equality, sustainability, which all of us in the world agree on, which is what is our universal values technically. Because if you look at the Universal Declaration of Rights created by the United Nations, there are certain values, like all of us, I think everyone in the world can collectively agree certain things like torture or misusing freedom of speech are wrong, which is why I believe that ethics are objective and they're not just personal preference.
That's an amazing.
No, but see, the issue with assuming that everybody agrees on ethics is that there is no one sole concept in this entire world that everybody agrees on. Like you spoke about torture, but as a few of you mentioned Hitler, a few decades ago, Hitler himself was conducting torture upon Allied spies who infiltrated his country, and Allied spies would conduct torture on Nazi spies that infiltrated their country. So we cannot assume that everybody is going to agree on one thing. On top of that, the kind of ethics that people follow these days, which is based around certain values like honesty and integrity. That kind of ethics has been designed while looking at the world as black and white, while as good and bad, as right and wrong. But however, the state of the current world is that most of it is in the gray area. We cannot apply this kind of ethics at all times. If we cannot apply it at 100% at all times, then that means that they cannot be taken as a universal law of any kind of sort. And ethics itself, it is depending on the situation. If it's dependent on the situation, that means that it's also dependent on the person who's handling the situation, which ultimately means that it is a personal thought process that leads to us using our ethics in a certain way.
I would like
Well,
I
since we need to
completely
get to an conclusion, like I think it's going to be a good idea to discuss a case or an example. So I'm sure most of you have heard about this case. It's about a woman called Terry Schiavo. She was a young woman who had gone into a car accident when she was very young, and after many years of medical treatment, she had to be fed through pipes. She could not talk, and she was living a terrible existence. So her husband said that this is painful, this is torture, and she should be killed, because she should be killed in a nice way so that she can enjoy bliss. But her other family members said that she had the right to life and that she should be kept alive. This is a very interesting case, and I would like all of us to discuss about this. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, though that is an amazing example. If I may say something, Kavya, just a second. Thank
Yeah.
you. So, Rishit, though that's an amazing example, let us stick to the point maybe. I think quite a few of us have mentioned why they think it's more of an objective, ethics are more of an objective thing than more of a personal preference. I also want to give some of my input because, okay, so I'm sorry. Despite differences, there are core values like compassion, fairness, and honesty that are above individual perspectives. Sam, this is to your point. And also regarding of personal beliefs, overall globe needs emphasis on sustainability and equality. These are environmental ethics.
Finalists, you have completed 6 minutes already.
Okay. And actions have consequences. Some actions can be objectively harmful regardless of personal beliefs.
Sampriti, but
Can
this harmful, the word harmful is always subjective to who is committing the harm and who is the victim here. To the victim, any sort of act is harmful, but to the perpetrator, it does not feel that way. It does not seem that way because he or she is not getting harmed. And in the same way, when we take honesty, I like Rishik's idea of bringing up an example. This might sound fantastical, but I want to bring up a sort of fictional situation.
Let me come
Like,
to the point to decide. So why don't we just let everyone say what they think, because we need to come
Yes.
to
So yes or no. So Ashna, why don't you go? So are you for or against?
I think I'm against the statement.
Okay.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, guys, but I believe Kushi and Ramya have got no chance of speaking. So I
Yes.
believe they should speak as well.
Yes,
Kushi?
please, Kushi, Ramya, continue.
I would like to quote an incident from Mahabharata. Actually, during the war of Kurukshetra, Arjuna was quite demotivated about raising his weapons against his own family, friends, and relatives. But Krishna motivated Arjuna to actually raise his weapon against his own relatives. That was because he had to prioritize his.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but since we do have only 1 minute, can we just do a voting?
I guess that's fine.
Yes. So Rishik, so what do you think? For or against?
I'm for.
Okay. And Sam?
I'm against. I believe that ethics are personal preferences.
Okay, so that's for, and I believe against. Kushi, Ramya?
I believe against. I believe it's against because ethics are standard which we hold our society to and ourselves. So
Yes.
they are not just subjective, but they are objective.
Yes. So I propose the conclusion that ethics are not just personal preferences, and they're more than that. So we can clearly see that a few of us are more against the against part of it. So I think we should go with that. Should we end this? Yeah. Should we end this like that?
Let's end it like
If we're
that.
taking the vote of the majority, then sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so an interesting debate there by our finalists, ladies and gentlemen. Well, like I said, this can be quite a debate for us adults, And for these kids, I was actually very curious to see what kind of perspectives they are going to come up with. Let's move on now to our next round, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up is Your Perspective. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching TCS iON Intelligem Universal Values, the senior category, the grand finale of the senior category here today. And we have completed 3 rounds in this grand finale, and time for us to move into the 4th round, which is called Your Perspective. Our contestants have spoken quite a bit here today, but now I have certain topics for them. In fact, it's a very interesting round. Let's see what we have in store for them on the screen. All right. We have the names of certain entities like Amul, Google, Microsoft, RBI, Instagram, BBC, Fab India, and Maruti Suzuki. Well, not an advertisement for anyone at all, but the task that our students have here today is to interpret each of these brands in the context of universal values. We have quite a few names on the screen, so each of them should get a choice. So let's see what happens. Let's start with Samanyu. Contestants, please remember, you have a minute's time to speak on this, okay? You cannot exceed the minute's time, and if you do, I will stop you from speaking, okay? So good luck to all of you. Remember, you have to interpret these brands in the context of universal values. Let's see what they have to say. If you think this round is very difficult, believe me, they are going to ensure that it is extremely easy as their thoughts flow into what they're going to speak now. Let's get started. Samanyu, go ahead. Which one would you like to speak about?
I'll choose Microsoft, please.
Microsoft. Okay, so Samanyu will speak on Microsoft. You have a minute's time. Go ahead.
I believe that the value that most associates with Microsoft is probably perseverance. The reason being the history of Microsoft. Microsoft was created by Bill Gates, and he was actually a college dropout. Usually, like especially nowadays, we assume that in order to get anywhere in life, we have to have an amazing education. We have to go to a good college. But Bill Gates, one of the richest people on this planet, dropped out of college and followed his dreams. No matter how difficult it was, no matter how new he was in the field, Microsoft itself was a brand new emerger in this kind of field. It wasn't that well explored previously. And he went through all of these struggles, and he proved everybody wrong. He proved that if he had a dream, he could follow it, and he did not need to fall to any of the struggles. He persevered through all of that and created Microsoft, which is a multi-billion-dollar company currently.
All right. Thank you, Samanyu. Let's move on to our next finalist here today. Ashna, it's your turn to pick the brand you want to speak of. Which one would you like to go ahead with?
Okay, the brand I'm going to choose is Amul.
Amul. Okay, the taste of India. She's going to speak about that. Your minute's time starting now.
So Amul is obviously a famous brand that all of us know about, and of course it's created in India, and the universal value I would like to integrate with it is empowerment, because as you can see, Amul is a brand which is created, it has a variety of products, and as seen, it shows how how it empowers women, how it empowers people across India. And as you can see, the quote itself says, the taste of India. It empowers farmers, people, and all around India for the production. As one of Amul's very famous products is butter. So I believe that the universal value it upholds is empowerment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ashna. Beautifully put there. Empowerment is what Amul resonates for her. All right. Let's move on to our next finalist here today. Let's mix it up a little bit and move on to Khushi. Khushi, go ahead. Which one would you like to speak of?
I would like to speak about Fab India.
Fab India. All right. You have a minute's time on Fab India. Please go ahead.
So I think Fab India upholds sustainability, empowerment, and even celebrating a culture, as it's rightly quoted, celebrates India. It is like it's clinged around our culture of India. Fab India, the clothing it gives is maybe quite expensive, but it
trust me, it's very much sustainable, and its long term use is just so good. One of the brands that I personally choose, and it is also empowers thousands of people across. Right, it's one of the leading brands in India, is what I feel. Fab India is also known for its sustainability, so it is also quite ethical, and I personally believe that Fab India has been doing great in terms of upholding values. And one thing that I really like is celebrating our culture.
All right, thank you, Khushi. Let's move on to our next finalist here today. Ramya, which topic or which brand would you like to go ahead with?
The brand I would like to choose is Google.
Google, all right, okay. So Ramya would want to speak on Google. Let's see what she has to say.
Google is one of the most well-known and well-used platforms in the current day, as it is used for many things by many people. One of the values that it upholds for me personally is mental health, because if you have seen the Google offices, they have many things that will help the employees in the company to have breaks and have a little fun while they do their work. If you've seen, instead of having stairs or elevators, they'll have slides to get down from a few floors, or they'll have wall pits, and they'll have amazing break rooms for people to just take a break, a little breather in their busy day, so that they could relax a bit. Because mental health is also very important in today's world, and
Ramya, I will have to stop you. You have crossed the minute's time. Thank you so much. Well, Google's offices is something that all of us have had an eye on for a long, long time now. Let's move on to our next contestant. Rishik, go ahead. Which brand would you like to speak on?
Okay, so the brand I'm going to speak about is RBI, the Reserve Bank of India.
All right.
So RBI is the Central Bank of India, and it manages all the currencies. So the value I would like to associate with it is trust. RBI was founded long back, even before India got independence, and has been working with us and has been building a huge base of trust ever since it was created. In fact, the entire banking system in India works with trust, and RBI has done it in a wonderful way. They have perhaps hundreds of schemes for the elderly, for the working people, for even youngsters like you and me, so that we can take student loans, so that the retired people who have worked hard all their lives can get pensions. They have created a sense of trust, and this is the exact reason why India is among the top 5 economies in the world today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishik. Well put there. Let's move on to our final contestant who will be completing this round for us, Samskriti. Which one would you like to speak on? You have Instagram, BBC and Maruti Suzuki.
I would love to choose Instagram.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Instagram, that reminds me of 2 values, self-expression and community. Instagram is known for its emphasis on visual content, allowing its users to share photos and videos. Why? Is it only photos and videos? No, it's to share their stories, their lives. This platform enables their users to express the individuality that they have and their creativity through either content making or even just looking at other people's creativity. So, from when people were 6 steps apart to 3 steps apart, Instagram has done a lot. It helps us connect with others, with almost 8 billion people now, through shared interests, visual experiences, or whatnot. So, really applaud Instagram, and again, to reiterate, 2 values, self-expression and community. Thank you.
Wonderful. Beautiful interpretations on each of the brands that are given on the screen. Now it's time for us to move into the final round of this grand finale, the jury time. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, like I mentioned earlier, we have a stellar cast of jury members who have joined us for this grand finale here today. Let me quickly introduce them before we move into the questions that they have for our finalists. Our first jury member who has joined us here today is Ms. Priyanka Mishra. She is a seasoned human resource professional with a diverse experience in manufacturing, FMCG, HVAC, oil and gas, and consumer durables. She is with Blue Star for close to 5 years and has handled different roles in HR before heading the corporate HR COE function of talent management, learning, and DEI. She is a certified professional in psychometric assessments and coaching, a certified NLP professional. She is also the winner of the 10% Leaders Club of 1000 Women Leaders program in 2023. Priyanka is also passionate about the cause of mental health and well-being and volunteers as a counselor with NGOs and self-help groups. She's a trailblazer herself and she actively tries to creating a better and a wholesome working environment, especially for women. Priyanka, thank you so much for making time and joining us here today. I'm sure our finalists would be excited to get to know what kind of questions you have for them. Let's move on.
Thank you for having me, Rashmi.
Let's move on to our second jury member here, Ms. Radhika Sheth. She is an accomplished professional with over a decade of experience at the Reserve Bank of India, where she has played a pivotal role in regulatory oversight, financial risk management, and policy formation. She's currently serving as the Assistant General Manager in the Payment and Settlement Systems Department. Her academic journey reflects exceptional achievements, including a gold medal in management, and she further has enhanced her expertise with certifications and training programs related to financial management and regulation from IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund, European Central Bank, Southeast Asian Central Banks, IIT Bombay, and IIM Calcutta. And in addition to her professional responsibilities, she has taken on leadership roles in counseling on women's empowerment committees, spearheading financial literacy initiatives, and so on. She's a passionate reader who finds inspiration in exploring diverse genres, and this basically reflects in the intellectual curiosity that she has and the love for learning that she has always nurtured for herself. Radhika, thank you so much for joining us and making time. And coincidentally, we had RBI in the previous round as well. I was smiling when I saw RBI there, and I thought you would have an interesting perspective on what was spoken on RBI. So let's get started. We have 6 finalists here today. Each of you would speak with 3 of the finalists, and you can have a question for them based on whatever they have spoken or anything that is related to universal values. Priyanka, if may I ask you, whom would you like to speak with first?
So I would like to go ahead with Khushi
All right, please go ahead.
first. All right. So Khushi, it was amazing to hear your thoughts, and you spoke about dharma. So I would like to know from you that how would you define dharma? What is dharma?
So actually, dharma doesn't have an exact translation to any other language, but according to me, dharma is a sense that you get within yourself when you're doing a right action or you're taking a right decision. So dharma, I believe dharma is kind of like the mother of all other universal values, because you can't relate dharma to just one universal value. So, I believe that I'm following my dharma as a student, as a daughter of my beloved parents, and as a responsible future citizen of my country. So, I am really deeply resonated with dharma and the ancient wisdom like Ramayana and Mahabharata, where we've constantly seen the characters upholding dharma, and I'm deeply inspired by them.
All right, thank you, Khushi. Radhika, whom would you like to speak with?
First of all the participants were wonderful. It was great listening to all of them. And yes, I do have a perspective on the logo in the previous round. and thank you so much for having me. I would like to speak with Samskriti.
Please go ahead.
Hello, Mom. Okay, so assume that in a hypothetical scenario, you are a world leader yourself from the context of one world, one leader. What would be the top three priorities and how would you implement it? So, of course, I understand that we all agree upon the current crisis that's going on in the world, but I want you to give me an opinion as to how are you going to resolve it, which is what the answer should focus on. So, I hope I'm clear with the question.
Yes, you are very much clear with the question. So, in my perspectives, there is a lot of things that a leader should focus on. But if it's the top three, first I would be thinking about how the emotions, values, and perspectives of people. Two, the economics of the entire world, and three, sustainability. One being the most important to me, how is being there's a lot of things right now, a lot of perspectives that are being shared in social media that's going right now, and a lot of which are very interesting. What's more interesting is that there's 8 billion people in this world and there's 8 billion perspectives. If there's somewhere, I would like to take all of those into consideration. And second, being economics. I don't have too much to say right now. I'm still growing in that field. As a matter of fact, I have just started my own startup, and I'm also in that position right now where I'm kind of a leader to a small team. So maybe not the entire world right now, but in my team, it's a lot about the empathy and that we do, connecting empathy to the financial part of it and the leader of part of it. And sustainability, one of the most important, what the UN is actually focusing on right now. We need to realize that a lot of things right now aren't renewable, and we are soon going to have to shift our focus towards valuing what we already have and conserving what we have and producing instead of only consuming. So these are the three things I would focus on, and that's my answer to the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Samskriti. Thank you, Radhika. All right, Priyanka, if I may ask you again, whom would you like to speak with?
I would like to go ahead with Rishik.
Please.
Yes, ma'am.
Rishik, you intrigued me with your statement, mind is a parachute. So here is my question to you that in context to your preferred universal values of respect and cooperation, how do you make sure that your mind parachute lands at the right place most of the times?
So that's a very interesting question that you've asked me. And I'd like to say is that I'm always open to new ideas. I'm a very avid reader and I love reading. So every day I read around 3, 4 books and they're all non-fiction so that I can get a perspective on what others are thinking. Because there's so many people in the world. Rightly, as Sanskriti had said, 8 billion people and 80 billion perspectives. If I could just get a glimpse of all these perspectives, if I could understand what other people are trying to say, then I can make sure my mind parachute lands in the proper place and in the perfect place.
So how your values come into the picture for that?
So
respect and cooperation.
my values, respect and cooperation, as I said, are the very basis or foundation of collaboration and communication because we're living in the 21st century right now. Earlier, the world was a big place. Now it's all connected and it's like one single family. Like everybody is connected to everyone and there's an information boom. So in this place, communication is everything. We have access to so many tools. All we need to do now is to learn how to use them. And this is where communication and teamwork come in. So, respect and cooperation, these two are the founding values that allow human beings to communicate because we are a social species. We have grown and evolved to live and operate in groups, right? So cooperation can be a way of tying us together, and respect is a way of understanding what the other person is saying. And it's rightly said that people or groups of people are more often than not much more than the sum of their individual parts. Thank you.
All right.
Amazing.
Thank you, Rishik. Thank you, Priyanka. Radhika, whom would you like to speak with next?
I think I would like to speak to Ashna.
Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi. So I want to give you, assume that Genie grants you one wish today, okay? But the catch is that that wish has to help someone else and not you. So you cannot wish for yourself. I would just like to know that what would you like to solve in this world, and why do you think that is the problem that that deserves to be solved?
Okay, yes. Can I just have a second to think about it? Okay.
Totally, yes.
Okay, so I think that the problem that I would like to solve actually highly would align to UN's goal of sustainable cities, because as you can see right now, climate change, global warming, it is a real issue. Like, in fact, even if, I live in Bangalore right now, and if you could see the weather, definitely, like, it's cold in the mornings and then it's warm in the afternoon. There are unpredictable weathers of rain and cold. And, our world is just going to keep going like this. Like, the impacts that global warming has on our environment is detrimental, and it's going to keep getting worse. So I feel like the best way to do that is sustainable cities, urban planning. So if I were to take the example, I studied this a while ago, but Copenhagen and Singapore, these two are sustainable cities, which so Copenhagen actually aims to be carbon neutral by the year of 2030. They have a waste power plant which converts tons of waste into energy. They have cycle paths, and it's a place where the community comes together in terms of social, economic, and environmental aspects. So if I were to grant a wish, I would grant that all cities would be sustainable through urban planning, and sustainable through the three aspects: economics, environmental, and social. And this can be achieved through communication, collaboration, equality, where everything is priced fairly and everyone is able to achieve this. And it's when the entire community is able to empathize and understand this problem is when it could really be solved. And that's what I would also like to focus on, the mindsets of people while solving the problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashna.
Thanks, Ashna. Thank you, Radhika. Priyanka, whom would you like to speak with?
So we are left with Ramya and Samanyu.
Correct, Ramya and Samanyu.
So Samanyu, here is my question to you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Samanyu, you spoke about empathy. So I want to know your perspective. Is there any limit to empathy?
Well, empathy means understanding a situation that someone else is in, understanding the feelings of someone else. Suppose if I was speaking to someone who was disabled, who didn't have any legs, of course, there's a limit to how much I can understand their pain. But how much ever I can, like, I know that there are certain things that I would lose if I didn't have any legs. I couldn't run. I can't talk to the people I want. I can't move anywhere I want. I have some sort of dependability. I cannot be the independent person that I currently am. The same way, whatever we cannot understand through empathy, whatever blockages are there, they can be solved through just imagining ourselves. They can be solved through asking the person how they feel. Empathy is important because it helps us understand how to solve a problem when we are not the ones who are being affected, when we have to help someone else. And when we're in a discussion with someone else, when we're talking to someone, we can understand what they're thinking so that we don't hurt their feelings, and so that we ensure that we are understanding both halves of the conversation. This ensures maximum efficiency. And when of course there are certain things that we may not be able to understand when talking to someone else, but I feel like that can be easily abridged through a little bit of imagination and a little bit of time and help.
All right, thank you, Samanyu. Thank you, Priyanka. Radhika, we have Ramya who is left. Please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. So I couldn't hear you much during the, voice your views regarding ethics are nothing but personal preferences. So I would love to hear your take on that.
Well, ethics are a sort of standard which we hold ourselves and our society to. They are an agreement of conduct. They are an agreement of conduct which are made for the betterment of the world, and they aren't just personal preferences. Values like honesty, integrity, trust are something which all of us can agree upon, and something which all of us would want in our daily lives. So that is my view. Ethics are not just personal preferences, but they are not subjective or objective. They are in the gray area, if you may.
All right.
Rashmi, if I may I
Yeah, go
have
ahead. Go
a word
ahead.
with her?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So you said honesty is something that everyone would agree upon. Do you think that it is really universal? Like, I mean, what would you prefer? Loyalty, honesty, both is important. Suppose you know that your friend has cheated in an exam. Um, so what? But that clearing that exam is really important for your friend, and you know that without cheating, he or she may not. You think that you would be disloyal to your friend, or you would expose that? I mean, you would want that you will hold your position and you will be upright and you will say to the supervisor that your friend has cheated. What would you personally do?
In that situation, personally, I would first go talk to my friend, and I would urge them to come out on their own and tell the supervisor, because what they did is not an honest thing to do, and it is not something which you would want to do. Because no matter what, or no matter how much you try to forget something like that, you'll always have that guilt hanging on you. You'll always have that guilt dragging you down. So if you come out on your own and you're honest, depending on how important the exam is, or depending on what the situation was, maybe they might get a second chance, or maybe they might get another try to pass, or they might get reprimanded too. But it is they should still come out, because all in all it will make them feel better, because they won't have that guilt hanging on them all the time.
All right. Thank you, Ramya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Radhika. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end or the conclusion of TCS iON Intelligem Universal Values Grand Finale for the senior category. The most difficult task is what now my jury members will have to do, that is pick a winner. We will have one winner and the rest of the finalists would be joint runners-up. They have a lot of amazing prizes and goodies to win here. But let's see who the winner would be. Allow us some time to come up with the winner. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't go anywhere. We have many finals coming up. The TCS iON Intelligem is all about future skills for students, and we have 5 different verticals in 2 categories. So we have many more finals coming up. Stay tuned and watch the remaining finals. For now, we will see you soon.